On the 9th of October 2020, at Lekki Tollgate, Nigeria, at about 6:50 p.m., members of the Nigerian army opened fire on peaceful ENDSARS protesters. Now, Amnesty International at the time stated that at least 12 protesters were killed. But the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, said nobody died at Lekki Tollgate, but later took a turn on his words during an interview with a CNN journalist, saying only 2 protesters died. 1 year down the line, we remember the events that took place at Lekki Tollgate, Lagos, Nigeria. Today on The Breakfast Show, we will be discussing the ENDSARS protest 1 year later. My name is Faithy Mai. We are joined by a guest and, of course, my amazing co-host. You get to see them after this time out. Stick around. Welcome back. It's The Breakfast Show on TSLNIGERIA TV. We are discussing matters on ground. 1 year later, after the ENDSARS protest and the Lekki Tollgate shootings in Lagos State, Nigeria, we are here to remember all of the events that happened and everything that has followed. We are joined by a special guest, a media personality and a social commentator, Mr. Kelly Otoide. Good morning, Mr. Kelly.
Good morning, Faith. Thank you for having me.
And of course, I also have my beautiful co-host, Favor Oviandoba.
How are you doing? Faith, I'm good.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr.
All right,
Kelly.
let's go straight to it, Mr. Kelly. Okay. You are a young person who, of course, is interested in governance. You are a media personality. I've listened to your radio show where you get to, talk about the government. You call out wrongdoings. You even have guests on your show. You talk about all of these things. Let's take you back to October 2020. Were you by any chance a part of the protest, or you were among the people who say, okay, I'm going to be protesting online or from the comfort of my home?
Well, thank you very much, Faith Imai, and for having me today on the show. Well, to answer to your question, I wasn't part of those who felt online protest was the way to go, even though that was how it started, online. I was active online, and at a point, I felt it's time for us to take our protest offline, like let's go on the streets, let's see how it goes, especially peaceful protest. I'm one who does advocate for peaceful protest. So at the start of this protest, let us forget what happened. It all started somewhere, I think in Delta States, how it was alleged that a policeman pushed someone off a vehicle and people thought he was dead, and that skyrocketed everything. So the first 3 days, I was observing the whole thing unfold because the clamor then was for us to end SARS. So I was part of those who felt it's not about you ending SARS. SARS is a unit of the police force. What we should be calling for is a total overhaul of the entire police force. Let's rejig the police force. If you end SARS, they're going to come up with something else again that might even be worse, even far worse than SARS. So I was observing. So a few days down the line, it took a new turn. People were calling for, governors, the country, the economy is kind of hard, so the president should do this, governors, presidents should act this way. So I felt, okay, this is what I am always part of, or should be part of, an advocate of good governance. So at that point in time, I think the second week, there was a protest. We met with some leaders who came up with, okay, how they're going to organize protest in part of Benin City. So I felt, okay, maybe I should be part of this one. So I, myself, and some of my colleagues, we joined the protest. I remember clearly what happened on one of these protests, precisely at the King Square. I was there, and it started from the museum ground. It was a peaceful procession. So the idea was to move from the King Square to the government house to register our grievances, yes, to end SARS. But we were also calling for some other things that should be done, right? Yeah. So we went to the King Square. We were there, people singing, chatting, Nigeria is great. it was more like, then I felt and I saw that truly the youth of this country, they are so passionate about this country. They are so passionate. They love this country. I was so happy. So I felt, okay, let's go. So while we were there, before then, there was this, wrong signals as to some strange things tends to occur or planning to occur. We saw strange faces, people from nowhere, haggard looking, not properly dressed, with some weapons, machete. At that point in time, I felt, okay, probably they are just on their own. The intention is to do something different. So we're marching. When we were close to, this airport road, just by the Upper Palace, Faith, something happened. Wow. They started shooting sporadically into the air. People ran for safety. We ran. In fact, I remember Usain Bolt was more like a learner to me then, because I need to save my head and all that. So I ran alongside my friend, and we were thinking, who was behind this hijack? Like, does it make sense? We are talking about how we should better the country, how this country should work. And so persons think or believe that to truncate a peaceful protest is the right way to go. So we weren't deterred by that, hijack more like, because it was more like, okay, this shouldn't stop us. So we tend to continue. Again, they hijacked us. This time around, they shot at someone.
Yeah, I remember somebody died.
Someone died right before my face. At that point, I was like, okay, this is not ordinary. Probably these people, they were sent by some persons to destabilize or to truncate this peaceful protest.
Quite sad.
So we went home, disappointed. Of course, social media, the world is a global village. You tend to know or see things that happened outside.
Yeah.
And a few days after, we saw our vehicles in Lagos State right now. Our vehicles, government vehicles, buses, the last mile buses, I think the BRT buses, that is, conveyed some touts because they were brandishing, weapons and machete, dangerous weapons, to attack protest ground somewhere around the Alausa, close to the government house axis in Lagos. So I think that happened before the event of our protest in Benin, how it was hijacked. So that was the signal to tell us that, look, it seems some powers somewhere were against this protest.
Yeah.
And also, videos also came up in Abuja, how government vehicles also conveyed
I saw that. And nobody questioned that. I'm sure a lot of us did question it, but we did not get answers, which has always been the case. And that's quite sad. Now, let's look at 1 year down the line. There are a lot of things that young people at the time, even up until now, were still, advocating for. We want good governance. We want stable electricity. We want good roads, education. We want an overhaul of the police force. We want an end to police brutality, which was the main chant then when people, it was just, okay, ENDSARS was just like a metaphor. I keep saying it. And every other thing fell under that metaphor, ENDSARS. Exactly. Now, this is 1 year down the line. Let's look at October 2020 to October 2021. Do you think that or the protest that actually rocked that period actually had an effect moving forward? Let's see, on the governance itself and in police brutality, in a way to actually stop police brutality. Did it have any effect?
Well, in terms of having a positive effect, I would say no. Because like what you said, the key issues there, I think the protesters then, they had a demand, the 5 of 5, of which one was to, uplift or increase the pay of the welfare of the police force. Because they felt, okay, if these guys keep attacking us, it could be that they are not properly funded. Of course, it's no news. Let's not pretend. We know how the police, how they are in this country. When you go to the police barrack, you see how poorly they are. Exactly. So it's even, saying that is even an understatement. It's even worse than that. So it was part of their demand that the government take adequate care of the police. And also, protesters who were arrested, detained, should be released. Like, it's not a crime or an offense for you to engage or participate in a peaceful protest. It is a right as contained in our constitution. So part of their demand was that those arrested unlawfully should be released. And also an inquiry to investigate cases of police brutality should be set up and looked into so that those responsible police officers or any individuals should be brought to justice.
Now, we saw several panels of inquiry set up across the nation.
True.
Now, those panels were set up. They had meetings. I know in Edo State, they used to have regular meetings. Maybe probably every Wednesday, they had a time where they used to meet. Let's know what has happened after then. Do you think there's been the same question, any positive effects, judging from the creation of the panel of inquiries across the nation?
Well, for me, I think the panel of inquiries set up by the government to investigate cases of police brutality was more like, it's more like an hoax. It's a deceit, more like. I would say so. Now, why do I say so, actually? A year down the line, these panels were set up in different states. I think 29 states plus Abuja set up this panel to investigate, of which the vice president is part of the NEC, the council that set up this panel to investigate. And they had 3 months. Some were given days to submit their reports. Now, let's come down to Edo State. As was set up by the governor, that was in October, I think 19th or so of that year, to investigate cases of police brutality, headed by Justice Ada Egiamuso. She's in charge of that panel. Okay? Now, these panels, as we speak, the entire panels, the 30 of them, except Lagos, they've submitted their report. And part of their report was to investigate these cases, and if there are places or areas where compensations should be given to families of those affected or those directly affected, should be, right? Now, these panels, they've submitted their reports. Some submitted last month. I think most of these panels submitted their report as of July. That of Edo State, as was submitted as of July 13th, precisely, except Lagos. Now, July till now is about 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. What has happened? The decisions, the resolutions reached by that panel, have it been implemented by the government? Now, they gave us excuse that, oh, we are still waiting for Lagos. I understand. Lagos, I think it's more like a two-thing there, because they have a panel of inquiry to investigate cases of police brutality in Lagos, and also a panel to look into what happened or the event of Lekki Toll Gate of October 20th, actually. So they had 2 reports. As we speak, that panel has been suspended indefinitely. Why?
Which of the
Lack
panels?
of funds. That of Lagos. So it seems that Lagos...
We also saw in reports where about 7 families were compensated with a total amount of 43 million naira in Lagos.
Yeah, like I said, fine, you are giving monies to families affected or those directly affected. But it's more like, it's not even up to a scratch. We are talking about 30 cases right now, or 30 states having this panel of inquiry. All right? Now, that of Lagos is being stored as we speak, because I read a statement put out by, I think, one of the members. They said, look, paucity of funds. Even though the state government, they kept denying that they've given funds and all that. So it tells you that there's something fishy somewhere. And they also talked about that there are some cases, I think they said 3 cases, that they are still investigating. It's more like a very serious case. So instead of to allow that case to draw them back, so it's okay, they suspend the sitting of the panel.
Wow.
So 1 year down the line, let me ask you the question, how many police personnel have been brought to book since that event of Lekki or wherever the ENDSARS protest? How many of them?
Now, we even had cases where some petitioners had to withdraw the case because of how it was going. But now we have just few days before they mark the 1 year anniversary of Lekki shootings. Now, as a young Nigerian, people are still planning to have a peaceful protest, to mark the 1 year. What would you advise young Nigerians? Would you still want them to go ahead, looking back at what happened just few days before 1 year?
I was on social, precisely on WhatsApp yesterday with a friend. And he was like, there is no need for us to bring back old wounds. That it's more like eating up the polity. I told him, I said, look, if we keep hiding these things, we're not helping us or ourselves. We are not doing ourselves good. Let's talk about the issues. It's okay for people to protest, provided it's a peaceful protest. So for me, I believe if the youth decide that, okay, let's come out, it's more like a remembrance as to what happened on that day.
Of course. Because something happened.
Something happened, even though they keep denying that nothing happened. Something happened. The governor of Lagos State agreed during an interview.
He visited people in
exactly,
the hospital,
even though he came back to, I don't know if he retracted or whatever his statement, but he did agree. We know something happened on that day, okay? So if the youth decide 1 year down the line, let's commemorate that event, even though it's a sad one, there's nothing wrong. Let's discuss it. I mean, lastly, he was able to see reasons with me that, look, it's important that we discuss this. Yes, we know. Now, they keep saying that the protest was, it went south and all that, hijacked, it went violent and all that. Let's ask them the question, who was responsible for the hijack? For the hijack,
I'm not mentioning any names. Those are the questions that we've been asking and we've not gotten answers for. Now, also, I totally understand that a lot of people want us to mark the 1 year, aftermath of the ENDSARS protests and the Lekki tollgate shootings. But it may seem as though the higher authority and the higher powers do not want that the events to be marked. Because let's look at Lagos, for instance. They wanted to do a peaceful march to Lekki tollgate. And a commissioner of police said no, that's not going to happen. They also said, all right, since we are not going to be given the opportunity to march to Lekki tollgate, let's get an event center where we can sit down and discuss and remember everything that happened and strategize or re-strategize. The event center they were supposed to use has pulled out, saying that, hey, I don't even want your money. I don't even want to do business with you. I don't want wahala, orders from above. So what does it look like for us, the young people, right now? Because events are taking place around Nigeria, especially in Lagos. And nobody is concerned that those events will be hijacked. Most of them not even entertainment events, political events. Rallies go on, but people don't get scared that those rallies will be hijacked. Now, this is an event where young people want to come together to talk about their future and talk about their past. And it's a problem to the higher forces. Now, do you think we stand a chance as young people? Let's talk about the nearest future coming 2023. Do you think young people stand a chance? There's what I used to listen to when I was much younger, that we are the leaders of tomorrow. Do you think that we are truly leaders of tomorrow? Or all they just want us to do is sit down, fold our arms, probably get fed or not get fed, because most of us are not even getting fed. So they just want us to sit down and look. But at the same time, they are the ones that keep saying, we're encouraging young people to be a part of governance. We're encouraging young people to be a part of politics. But when they see a young person or a group of young people, they try everything within their power to stop them. Do you think we stand a chance?
Well, on paper, it may seem that the government, they are kind of encouraging the youth to participate in politics because of recent, the president did sign into law the not too young to run bill, which of course give room for younger ones to engage in politics and contest for whatever positions that they so desire. But, I think I shouldn't, or should I say it's a good news now. I think that of the Lekki incident, as at yesterday, according to one of the activists, Omoyele Sowore, he did post that since the Lagos State government has finally given nod to that peaceful protest at Lekki, so let's watch how things unfold. But to answer to your question, Faith, as to if we are ready as youth, well, I wouldn't want to fault the government on that, okay? Because I don't get it. If someone is trying to choke me, I mean, common sense should tell that I should fight back, right? To answer to your question, I would say no. Yes. A friend of mine told me earlier on, if elections were held immediately after that ENDSARS protest, then probably we would have had Nigerian youth in their numbers, in droves, participating in it. Okay, but hey, elections is bid for 2023. So no elections, now, neither was one last year. So it means we are working towards 2023. Is the youth prepared, or are the youth prepared currently? I would say no. How many of us are most interested in politics? Now, it starts from here. You having the interest of governance in your state or in your locality, in your country. How many of the Nigerian youth is interested or cares to know what is happening in terms of governance? Now, when you try to bring it before them, they are like, I beg you, concern me. Seriously.
Don't you think they're not? They are less concerned because of how they've seen things unfold in the past?
That's what I'm saying. I shouldn't allow someone choke me. I need to fight back. So because the governments or those in power, they are not doing the needful, should that make you lose interest? Look, we tend to play with politics of a nation. It's very important. The awareness is very much important. If you are not aware what's going on in your country, there's all probability that the interest of participating in terms of, voting, direct participation would be there because we are not interested in governance. So we as youth, we are not interested. There is no interest. We are much more interested in entertainment. Fine, I'm there too. I love entertainment. Wizkid, I'm a fan of Wizkid. I love social media. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm everywhere. But it shouldn't deter me to leave the most, which I term the most important of all, which is governance and politics of your nation. Going forward, there was, I think, a continuous voter exercise somewhere sometime in June. How many youth came up to, participate, registered for that process? How many of them? Let's go back to last election of 2019 and even 2015. How youth with their PVCs, they have the PVCs, they got it, but they were not interested to come out and cast their vote. So how do you make a change if you are not interested? So to answer to your question finally, the youth are not interested. I hope that this will change in 2023. I just hope, because currently, Faith, we are not interested. The awareness needs to be there first off. Let's hold our government accountable. If they are spending these monies lavishly, ask questions. If you're not asking questions, you are giving room for abnormality to continue, for looting, for corruption. So we should ask questions. That's what instigates the interest for us to engage directly in the process.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kelly Otoide, for gracing our studio on the set today. Thank you so much. And we say to our youth that if you're going out to protest, please do it peacefully. Every Nigerian has the right to peaceful protest. We have the right to free assembly, and we hope that Nigeria gets better for us. All right, that's the much we can take on the show today. Please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel, TSL Nigeria TV. Until we come your way next time, my name is Favor Ovianloba. Have a blessed day.
Stay connected to TSL Nigeria and get updates on the go all day, every day. Subscribe to our YouTube channel on TSL Nigeria Space TV and join our online family.